This video is on density. So density is an intrinsic property that depends only on the type of the substance, not on the amount of the substance. Density is a measurement of the mass of something per unit volume. So its formula for density is mass divided by volume. Our units for mass are grams, and volume is milliliters or liters. Or we can have grams per centimeter cubed. This is because 1 milliliter is equal to 1 centimeter cubed. So if you have a centimeter times centimeter by a centimeter in a box, and you filled that up, that would be exactly 1 milliliter of fluid. We can have something called the density triangle to help us manipulate our algebraic equation. In my triangle, if I have density here, mass, and volume, and I'm looking for density, I cover it up, and I have mass divided by volume. If I'm looking for mass, I cover that up, and I have density times volume. And if I'm looking for volume, I cover the V, and I have mass divided by density. An easy way to remember the density equation is we know that the density of things are given to us as grams per milliliter. You can also find densities on our periodic table. So knowing that automatically tells me that my formula for density is my mass, or grams, divided by my volume of milliliters. So it's not a formula you have to memorize because these units are given to you in various places on the resources you get to use. So the density of a substance usually increases when its temperature decreases. So that makes sense for things that are solids are usually denser than our liquids, and liquids are usually denser than our gases. And we know with states of matter, as we go from a gas to a liquid to a solid, usually temperature must increase. In fact, it has to decrease because temperature is a measurement of how fast our particles are moving. This holds true for everything except water. And you should be thankful that this is an exception. Otherwise, when a lake would freeze, the ice would constrict, it would get smaller, the particles would get closer together, and then the ice would sink to the bottom of the lake, crushing all the plants and fish in the lake, and everything would die. Not to mention the fact that the sides of the banks of the lake would then cave in. So it's great that water does the opposite. So the density of water actually decreases when its temperature decreases. Okay, so again, this is why ice floats. Let's go through a couple calculations. So a weather balloon is inflated to a volume of 2.2 times 10 to the third liters with 37.4 grams of helium. What is the density of helium in grams per liter? So whenever we get a word problem, it's the best thing to do first is to pull out our information. So we're told we have a volume of 2.2 times 10 to the third liters and a mass of 37.4 grams. So my volume, 2.2 times 10 to the third liters. My mass is 37.4 grams. And I'm looking for density. I want you to show this information on all of your practice problems. So then after that, I know that my formula is density is mass divided by volume. I know my mass and I know my volume, and they're in the units that I want. Remember, I want grams per liter. So I take my 37.4 grams, divide that by my 2.2 times 10 to the third liters. And remember when we plug this in, it's 2.2, and you hit your EE button, and the number 3 after it. And when I do that, I get an answer of 0.017 grams per liter. In my next example question, I'm going to find volume in cubic centimeters, so that's centimeters cubed, of a sample of cough syrup that has a mass of 50 grams. And I'm told that my density of cough syrup is 0.950 grams per centimeters cubed. So the information given to us, I know my mass is 50 grams. My density is 0.950 grams per centimeter cubed. And I'm looking for my volume. So if I go back to my triangle at the top, I'm looking for volume, so I go ahead and I cover that up, and that means that I have to have mass divided by density. So volume is equal to mass divided by density. I plug in my mass of 50 grams divided by my density of 0.950 grams per centimeter cubed, and I get an answer of 52.6 centimeters cubed. 3 sig figs here, 3 sig figs here, 3 sig figs in my final answer. Another way that we can measure density, besides doing length times width times height, is we can use something called water displacement. So in the event that an object has an irregular shape, we can take a graduated cylinder and fill it to a certain amount high of water, so a certain volume of water, which we would record. And then we take our irregularly shaped object, in this case a rock, and I would then place my rock into my graduated cylinder. When my rock goes into my graduated cylinder, that rock's going to take up space and it's going to cause my water level to rise. So here I can see that my water level went from 60 milliliters to 90 milliliters. So that means that my rock must have taken up 30 milliliters, 30 milliliters of space. So if the mass of that rock is 60 grams and the volume of the rock is 30 milliliters, go ahead and determine the density of that rock. Remember that density is mass divided by volume.